Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, another Tyranid Learning Curve video for you, and this video sort of interlinks with the last two videos when we talked about Swarmlord and the Hive Tyrant. So we're looking at the Tyrant Guard, and the reason why they interlink is because you can only take this unit if you take a Hive Tyrant or Swarmlord. So as I said, go and check out those other couple of videos first if you haven't seen them yet, because they work together as a little mini series. So the Tyrant Guard are 50 points a model, and you can have between 1 and 3 in a unit. Stat wise, we're looking at weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, toughness 6 with 2 wounds, initiative 4, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a 3+ save. Now they're not a synapse creature, they will feed, and they only have that leadership 7, but let's face it, you're going to have some synapse around, because you're going to be joining the Swarmlord or with your Hive Tyrant with this unit, so that shouldn't be a problem. And ultimately they're there to basically give that Swarmlord or Hive Tyrant extra wounds, and that's what these guys are all about. Now, these are supposed to be the best Tyranid bodyguards that we have. It's slightly disappointing to see only 2 wounds and only a 3+ save. I think maybe one or the other. It would be nice to have had maybe 3 wounds, or failing that, would have been nice to have a 2+ save. I think that would make them a lot more survivable, but ultimately, we've got to run with what we've got. So 2 wounds per model will give you extra 6 wounds, which means that if you have got Swarmlord with them, if you have got a Tyrant with them, you've got the chance to walk across the table if that is what you're trying to do, to try and get into assault. Now, obviously, I've got older models here, which are holding a shield and a lash whip. In reality, the models come as base with rending claws now and scything talons. Now, you can take the lash whip and bone sword, and you can take crushing claws extra. Both of those are 20 points a go, so really puts the points into the models. As I said, they're 50 points base already, so they're pretty expensive, especially if you combine that with a Tyrant, for example. You do have the option for adrenal glands and toxin sacs. If you're going to use them as bodyguards, then really going to be trying to keep them cheap. They're purely for wounds, extra wounds. Now, they do have a couple of extra special rules. They have blind rampage, which means if your Tyrant dies, they gain furious charge, and they also gain rage from the end of that turn for the rest of the game, which sounds really good, but ultimately they're going to die before your Swarmlord, before your Tyrant anyway. So very rarely have I ever had that ability, been able to use that. They do, however, have the shield wall special rule, and this is what makes them pretty decent. You can have a little bit of shenanigans with this special rule. So when you've got the shield wall special rule, it gives you the Hive Tyrant and Swarmlord the ability to automatically pass the Lookout Sir roll. Now, what that means is that when you join your Swarmlord to this unit, now incidentally, the Swarmlord and the Hive Tyrant is not an independent character. So although you can join them as a unit, they act as one unit. So you can't take the Swarmlord off halfway through the game and use it as a separate unit. It acts as one. So anyway, yes, when you join the Swarmlord, let's say, for example, to this unit, now in most cases you consider these bodyguards, and you'd have the Swarmlord. Let me just bring Swarmlord in. You'd have Swarmlord there probably at the back of the unit. Now, that sort of makes sense. Your guard would take the wounds first, and Swarmlord would survive. But with this shield wall special rule, you don't actually have to do that. You can actually bring Swarmlord to the front of the unit. I'll just move this back. You can bring him to the front because he automatically passes Lookout Sir. So effectively you can allocate those wounds through. And that gets your Swarmlord slightly closer to your enemy. make him look a little bit more fearful and make him look a little bit more susceptible, potentially. You know, certainly until it's realised that you have that auto pass, look out sir. Now what it also means is that you maybe can try and do some wound allocation shenanigans. So yeah, you get shot at, let's say a couple of missile launchers come in, you can do your look out sir. You could maybe take one missile launcher on the Swarm Lord, and then the second missile launcher you can do look out sir, and that would be allocated to the closest unit, and then you'd have a wound on that guy there. And then in your movement phase, when you move the unit forward, the guy that's got a wound here at the back, he can make sure that he's not the closest model, maybe move another guy up. So now when you get shot at, you can, let's say another missile launcher comes in, you can then wound allocate that with your lookout sir, which you pass automatically onto the next nearest model, and that'd be this guy. So he takes a wound. So effectively you still have your 3 guard there, and you know, although they're wounded 1 each, you've still got the mass of models there. So potentially that's an idea that you can do. Now there is another little thing which a lot of people don't realise with the Hive Guard. Let me just get these set up again. Zoom in. So yeah, even though you can take a brood of Tyrant Guard with a Hive Tyrant, doesn't necessarily mean you have to allocate them together. You don't have to be a unit. So let's, for example, when I take 2 winged Hive Tyrants, 2 Flyrants, what I am actually able to do is I'm able to take 2 units of Hive Guard. Now, as I said, it's between 1 and 3 in a unit. So what I could actually do is take 2 single units of Hive Guard, 2 separate units, and they don't have to join the swarm, Flyrants. They can act by themselves. So now I have 2 individual, toughness 6, 2 wounded, 3+ save units, ideal for capturing objectives, ideal for hiding in buildings on an objective, something which your opponent isn't going to necessarily take out early in the game, because there's going to be lots of other stuff coming at them that they're going to have to deal with. So that is something which maybe some people would overlook, but it certainly is a tactical option. Now I haven't played it myself, but you know, it's something which can certainly work, and something to consider. So I think that's it for the Tyrant Guard. I mean, you have to consider how many to take. Said 50 points each, and I suppose it ultimately depends on your points level. You know, if you are playing bigger games, then at least 2 or 3 of these guys, it is a bit of a commitment, especially if you're going with Swarm Lord, because obviously he himself is just under 300 points. If you're going into smaller games, then 1 guard can work quite well, just give you that extra boost, assuming you want to walk across the table. But as I said, a Tyrant with wings is probably the way to go. But Swarm Lord can certainly bring a lot to the table with all of his psychic powers, and having him joined to some guard, walking up the table can certainly be fantastic support for your swarm. So certainly not to be ruled out, the guard, and as I said, not to be ruled out to maybe use them by themselves without them being bodyguards. Right, that's it for this video. Hope it was useful to you. As I said, I'm just sharing my learning curve experience, so all comments and feedback always welcome on these videos. It's all about learning from each other. Thanks for watching.